Hello again, my friends, my spiritual seekers. Let's seek together again as we do our book study. Now, the second episode of Falling in Love with God, the study program. And we are in this book club together. If you haven't seen the first episode, it's so great to go back and look at the introduction questions and what we meditated upon in chapter 1. We really delved into some issues about love and the divine and our own connection with that in those reflections. So we will be going further, deeper into this cultivating of divine love and connectivity through, obviously, my latest book, Falling in Love with God, which you can get online. I'll link below on my website or Amazon. And it definitely would be useful to read that in advance. And you won't have any spoilers come up in these episodes if you already have read the book. It's a quick and easy read from what I hear. I certainly enjoy it. So, this book is here to help you, and these questions, these reflections, this going into depth, hopefully will help you to open your heart, to feel that connection and that satisfaction, that love and that fullness and wholeness that our character, Charity, feels as she goes through this journey. And she goes through this journey in an exciting way, I think. So let's do that together. Falling in Love with God, and we are now on chapter 2. Again, there are spoilers because we will be talking about the story, so it's better if you can read it in advance. But anyway, these are the questions, and I will try to write them below in the description box so you can reflect on them even further. But let's just get into it. Basically, in chapter 1, and the introduction, we'll just recap. We were talking about what is real love, what is true love. Is it romantic love? Is it something outside of ourselves that we can buy or do to fulfill ourselves? Or is it something we cultivate, something within us that fulfills us that we can call in and fill ourselves with through our own peace, meditation, consciousness work? So that's what we talked about in the introduction. We talked about how our character is drawn to the remembrance of this true love through different signs in the world, and we'll talk more about that in this chapter. So also we just discussed spiritual practices, which will be throughout the book, and asking what are your practices, how are they working for you, and let's see as we go along with our character Charity how your practices might develop even further. So that was the beginning. So let's go chapter 2. So our character, she is on a flight home. She's had some disappointments with some experiences in the world. She is going back home, and she comes across the great Sufi mystic Rabia Ladawiyya in a documentary on her flight. As she watches this video, she hears these poetry lines that are just so nourishing. In my solitude I am at peace, Rabia, the saint, the great saint, God bless her, says. She says, the one I love is always with me. I'm satisfied. My heart is healed. I'm full of joy and ecstasy. So it's more eloquent, in the book, but the point is she's just satisfied with the one that is her creator, that she was made for, that she is connected to. And there's this deep love that when we read the lines, we feel this love. And she's basically, as our character is reading this, she starts to feel her heart stir, because that is what these great poets do. They resonate something. They call us back to ourselves. And I do have some poetry books, by the way, if you'd like to check those out. They're online, they're on my website. But the idea is, as your heart is alight, is inflamed with this divine love, you can then help to spark others' hearts. And therefore, these are tools for you. These are tools for all of us to read the words and feel that spark within. So as our character reads about this, or hears about this saint in her travels, she feels her heart stir. And So these are the questions for this week. These are our characters' reflections, and these are some of our questions. She says, what would it be like to be truly in love with the divine? What would it be like to be truly in love with the divine? This is our character's question, sparked from the words of the mystics. What if one really threw themselves into this deep relationship? Would it be reciprocated? Does the universe truly love us that much? Could this truly satisfy? So this is what our character is reflecting upon. This is what you can reflect upon. Do you feel that this is a real possibility? Can you imagine what it would be like? Can you feel the love from this beautiful loving universe coming back to you? Would that be fulfilling or satisfying? Have you felt it? So our character reflects, and you can reflect on these. And also, if you have any tools, you can use poetry such as that of Rumi, who is this worldly renowned poet with a resonance, or Hafiz, any of these beautiful poets, or my own work. Any poetry or words of divine love might spark you into this feeling. So you might try, give it a read, a little, just to delve into, see what it feels like, see if your heart awakens. Now, also, it is noteworthy that our character falls asleep and dreams a mystical dream. And that is a second way that you can, in this journal or this book study that you're doing, if you have, like I have, God is Love, lovely journal, if you have something where you can record your notes, your dreams, your divine love, sort of the relationship, the occurrences, the reflections, the spontaneous messages, if you can record dreams that come as well, that might be of use to you. So that was chapter 2. Chapter 3 also is going to be calling us to this. So we're going to just go into a couple of points when our character returns home. She's back in her apartment, and the things that call her back into remembrance now, because now she's on a journey, right? She's on a path. She wants to see the divine. She wants to let that be a part of her life. And so it's getting easier, right? It's easier to see, to feel the love, to see the signs of that. So she sees first in her pet. Her pet is lovingly greeting her, having, missed her. And this is somehow that she sees, this is one of the first ways she sees love. She sees, oh, the divine is loving me through this loving, the neighbor who helps with the pet also. And so basically the love of other living beings. So that is not that she is setting her sights on those as the means to see love, but she is allowing the divine to show her love through them. So that's a subtle distinction. The second way, she is seeing also natural animals, a bird flying and alighting on her balcony. She's seeing that as a sign again of the divine's love through some living being being shown to her in the exact right moment to sort of just soothe her heart, to show up. The third thing, lyrics. She's hearing these spiritual verses in the form of song. So she keeps this on, which is a great, I think, a great tool to have something that reminds you naturally, whether it's written words, verses on your phone, verses on your calendar, words that can light your heart up. And hearing them, seeing them, these call her back to her newfound, intention to transcend and to connect. And finally, she has poetry books, spiritual poetry books. We've talked about divine love, and she has that, and she's studying that. So she is finally, letting her gaze fall upon some of her great mystical saint works that she has on her bookshelf. So again, I have them. If you want them, check them out. I love writing that kind of thing. That's a great tool, by the way, too, is if you can actually write this kind of spiritual, spiritual love poetry. That's a fun, wonderful way to connect. But anyway, so we have these different ways that our character is connecting through the things around her, through the poetry, through the animals, through the natural world, through the people. Everything is calling her attention back. So the question for this chapter that we can reflect upon really is, what calls your attention? What reminds you of the divine in your life? Just constant reflection and remembrance are how we train our brains. So, excuse me, a little bit of water. Okay, so basically, constant remembrance is how we train our brains. So, if we are aware of what calls us to remembrance, then we can do it more, we can see it more. And the next question is, what conversely distracts you from remembrance? Because our character is, she's on she's sort of on a path. She hasn't achieved the state of being blissfully in remembrance of the divine, but she is on the path of that. So what distracts you, whether it's human relationships, pursuing health, wealth, goals on the earth? Our character's going through the struggle with you, and she is working on focusing as well on the divine. So just being aware of what it is that calls your energy away. And finally, on page 24, we see our character counts her blessings. So being able to be a witness to the beautiful place she's living, the job she has, her life, her health, her harmony, the good things that have happened, being able to just give a good list of the documenting the blessings, the well-being, the good things in life that have clearly been gifts from the divine. That's another tool to use to just reflect and study. So with our character, in chapter 3, you can do that. You can see what calls your attention to divine. You can count your blessings, and yeah, that is the next couple of chapters. I'm excited to go through this book like this with you very meticulously, because I just feel like there's so much love for us, and we don't always, I think we often don't feel the fullness of that. So, as a practice, if we work on training ourselves to remember, then we get better at it. And I really thank you for being here. You know, it just, my heart is really full that you're taking this time to cultivate your soul, your love, your life. And I think it will prove worthwhile for you, because what else is there other than the inner state being full? That is what is the beginning to all good things. So if you can fill your heart and really find that state, I hope that this book study did that for you. And if you're here with me till the end, please leave a positive comment so I know I wasn't alone. We're doing this together. And just to know that you are so loved and supported for who you are, that you are a wonderful being of divine love upon the earth. I appreciate you. So, sending all of my love to you, and we'll see you in the next chapters.